Today's gospel reflection reminds me of how important it is to really consider, what does God mean by love? We live in a culture and a society that has a longing for love, a fascination with love. But we always have to ask the question, what is love? We know we were created on some level. I think people intuit it to be loved and to love. But what is love? The highest form of love is to will the good of the other for the sake of the other. And really, that is the way that Jesus calls us to live our lives. He's saying he is the way. He is the way of perfect love. And it really amounts to being the way of the cross, death, resurrection, the Paschal mystery. I know in my own life, when I am able to set aside myself and will the good of the other, even if just for a moment or part of the day, for the sake of that person, there's a resurrection of sorts. I remember reading an article, that's where the Paschal mystery, which becomes present on the altar through the sacrifice, that's how we live it in our lives. It might be a person that you know you should have said you were sorry to, but you were too prideful, and you finally did it. It could be maybe listening to someone at your workplace that you don't like, and you haven't really wanted to listen to their point of view. It could be doing something for a spouse that you don't really like doing, but you know it's something they need, and it's something that you do because it's good for them, not to get anything from it. There's so many little ways in which we're called to love, and in those moments we have to put ourselves aside, die to ourselves, and often we get the taste of resurrection, not in the full sense, but in a moment we see that there's a law of the gift, as Edward Shree writes in his book when he's writing about Pope John Paul II's love and responsibility. When I lay my own life down, as Jesus says, I find true life. Because he is the life. And that life is the love of the Trinity. The Father giving his Son, himself totally to the Son totally surrendering himself to the Father, the Holy Spirit pouring the life of the Trinity out to us. Of course, the fullness of the truth of all of what I just said, that's not from me. You say, oh, Mark, that's an interesting way of putting it, Father Mark. No, that's from the church. And Jesus gives us all that in his body. He is the way of the cross, his death and resurrection. He is the truth, the fullness of truth, only revealed through his one holy apostolic Catholic Church. Yes, there are shades of that truth in other areas, but he gives us the fullness because he offers us the very life of God, which he makes present and calls us into. Brothers and sisters, I just challenge you to allow this deep mystery of Christ's way, his cross, to define your life. And when you do, though it is hard, though it is maybe against our fallen nature, you will find true life always in and through the Lord's death and resurrection.